Here's a map showing Canada, a vast and diverse country located in the northern part of North America. It shares borders with the United States and is the second largest country in the world by land area. Canada is home to over 37 million people, with a rich history and culture that spans back thousands of years to its Indigenous peoples. Canada is a land of incredible natural beauty, with vast forests, majestic mountains, and pristine lakes and rivers. It is also a land of modern cities and innovative technology, coexisting alongside traditional communities and Indigenous reserves. The country is rich in natural resources such as oil, natural gas, and minerals, and is a major producer of lumber and maple syrup. However, Canada is also a country full of surprises that are often kept hidden from the public eye. Scientists have uncovered shocking information about Canada that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the country. Scientists have been conducting research and collecting data that reveals Canada is not what we're being told. People often have positive views of Canada, particularly in terms of its natural beauty, multiculturalism, and reputation for being a safe and welcoming country. Being the largest country in the Western Hemisphere, and the second largest in the whole world after Russia. The country's close relationship with the United States and its role as a global peacekeeper is also widely recognized. However, there are many shocking truths about Canada that you won't hear from the mainstream media. So, get ready to have your mind blown as we delve into the shocking, untold stories of this fascinating nation. So, buckle up, as we reveal 15 of the most fascinating discoveries that have emerged from the depths of Canada's past and present, and let us show you that Canada is not what we're being told. Number 15. The story of the residential school graves. The discovery of unmarked graves at former residential schools has been a devastating and traumatic experience for Indigenous communities across Canada. Residential schools were a system of institutions that were set up by the Canadian government and run by religious organizations to assimilate Indigenous children into white Canadian culture. The schools operated from the late 1800s until the 1990s, and it is estimated that over 150,000 Indigenous children were forced to attend them. The residential school system in Canada was known for its harsh conditions, and many children suffered abuse, neglect, and mistreatment. Thousands of children died while attending the schools, and their bodies were often not returned to their families. In recent years, several Indigenous communities have been working to locate these graves and bring their loved ones home. In May 2021, the remains of 215 Indigenous children were discovered at the site of a former residential school in Kamloops, British Columbia. Since then, many more unmarked graves have been discovered at other former residential schools across Canada, including at the Marieval Indian Residential School in Saskatchewan. The discovery of these graves has sparked widespread grief and anger, and has led to renewed calls for reconciliation and justice for Indigenous peoples. It has also highlighted the ongoing impacts of colonialism in Canada and the need for continued efforts to address systemic discrimination and injustice. Number 14. Forced sterilization. The practice of forced sterilization is a dark chapter in Canadian history that many people are not aware of. It was carried out in Canada for decades, often against the will of marginalized members of society, such as Indigenous women, people with disabilities, and those deemed unfit to have children due to social, economic, or medical reasons. The eugenics movement, which sought to improve the genetic quality of the population by limiting the reproduction of those deemed inferior or unfit, was a driving force behind forced sterilization in Canada and other countries. Indigenous women were sterilized without their informed consent during childbirth, while others were coerced into undergoing the procedure by medical professionals who falsely told them it was a routine or necessary part of their medical care. In 2017, the United Nations Committee Against Torture criticized Canada for its ongoing forced sterilization of Indigenous women, calling it a grave violation of human rights. The Canadian government has since apologized for the practice and has taken steps toward reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, but the trauma and harm caused by this practice continue to affect the lives of survivors and their families. Number 13. Serial killers. Canada has had several high-profile cases of serial killers, including Robert Pickton, who was convicted of killing 6 women and is suspected of many more, and Bruce MacArthur, who was convicted of killing 8 men. These cases have shaken communities and raised questions about the effectiveness of police investigations. Robert Pickton, Paul Bernardo, Carla Homolka, Clifford Olson, Bruce MacArthur, and Russell Williams are some of Canada's most notorious serial killers. Pickton was convicted of the murders of 6 women and is suspected of having killed many more. Bernardo and Homolka were convicted of 3 young women in the early 1990s, and their case has been the subject of intense media scrutiny and controversy. Olson was a serial killer who was active in British Columbia in the early 1980s, and MacArthur was a landscaper and serial killer who targeted gay men in the Toronto area. Williams was a former Canadian Forces colonel who was convicted of 2 women in 2010, and his case shocked Canadians due to his high-profile military career and the brutality of his crimes. Number 12. The discovery of the Franklin Expedition shipwrecks. Let's embark on an incredible journey to the frozen Canadian Arctic, where researchers have recently uncovered the remarkably well-preserved wreckage of HMS Terror, one of the 2 ships from Sir John Franklin's 1845 expedition. This historic mission is one of the greatest mysteries in history, and the crew of 133 men set out to find the Northwest Passage, a mission that had eluded explorers for centuries. After brief stops in Scotland and Greenland, the 2 ships began their journey to Arctic Canada, and the last sighting of the ships was by 2 whaling vessels in late July 1845. Unfortunately, they were never seen or heard from again. For years, search parties were dispatched to find the crew, and over time, evidence of cannibalism, discarded equipment and skeletons were discovered, indicating that the expedition had met with disaster. However, the reason for their demise has remained a mystery until recently. A note found under a cairn in April 1848, signed by Francis Crozier, captain of the Terror, revealed that the ships had been trapped in ice for a year and a half, and 24 of the men had already died, including Franklin. The remaining survivors planned to walk overland to a remote fur trading outpost on the Canadian mainland, but never arrived. Recently, Parks Canada archaeologists have discovered the almost perfectly preserved wreckage of the Terror, allowing them to use small, remotely operated vehicles to explore the interior of the ship. They found astonishing evidence of the expedition, including dinner plates and glasses still on shelves, beds and desks in order, scientific instruments in their cases, and the possibility of journals, charts, and even early photographs under sediment that covers much of the interior. This discovery has brought us one step closer to uncovering the mystery of the Franklin expedition. Moreover, the last person to leave the ship closed the door to the captain's sleeping quarters, and it remains the only closed door on the ship. This area is particularly intriguing to researchers who hope to uncover more secrets behind it. In addition, the expedition had a daguerreotype apparatus, and if it was used, the glass plates could still be on board. There's also the possibility of developing any pictures of the expedition that are waiting to be discovered using techniques that have been successful in other shipwreck discoveries. The wreckage of the HMS Terror is a historical marvel, and with the potential to uncover even more artifacts, it's an incredible discovery that could reveal more about the expedition's ill-fated mission. Number 11. Natural phenomenon of sinkholes. Sinkholes are a natural phenomenon that can occur in certain parts of Canada, particularly in areas with limestone bedrock. They can range in size from small depressions to massive craters and can occur suddenly and without warning. They can be caused by natural processes such as erosion and the dissolution of rock by groundwater, as well as human activities such as mining and drilling. One notable example of sinkholes in Canada occurred in 2015 in the city of Ottawa, where a large sinkhole opened up on a busy street and swallowed a car. Another example occurred in 2018 in the town of Saint-Jude, Quebec, where a massive sinkhole was caused by the collapse of an underground gypsum mine that had been abandoned in the 1950s. Sinkholes can pose a significant risk to people and infrastructure, and efforts are underway in Canada to monitor and mitigate this natural phenomenon. Measures include mapping areas at risk of sinkholes, stabilizing the ground in areas prone to collapse, and improving infrastructure to prevent damage from sinkhole-related events. Number 10. The Devil's Hole. This sizable vortex may be found in the Discovery Islands, a collection of islands between Vancouver Island and the coast of British Columbia's mainland at the eastern end of the Johnstone Strait and the northern end of the Salish Sea. While some of the local tidal rapids are the most severe in the Northern Hemisphere and have claimed several lives and boats, The seas around the Discovery Islands have traditionally been a highway connecting people on the shore. A fast-moving tide may flow through a small opening and cause tidal rapids, which can result in dangerous currents, waves and whirlpools like this one, the Devil's Hole. Waters start to whirl around each other when two or more currents meet that are moving in opposite directions. The empty area in the middle of a whirlpool is called the vortex, and if the particles are powerful enough, they may start to spiral downward at that location. It can draw things into it. Whirlpools often pose little danger, yet those that are big or strong may seriously threaten anybody who approaches too near. The term maelstrom refers to these powerful whirlpools. Whirlpools are fascinating natural phenomena despite the risk. Number 8. Spotted Lake. This lake is neither an alien territory nor any work of VFX. This is the enigmatic lake with strange spots in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia, northwest of Osoyoos. Most of the year it doesn't seem to be an atrocity. Yet when the lake's water evaporates in the summer, it displays hundreds of enormous, repulsive, brackish pools, rather than a patch of land. If you have trypophobia, it may make you feel a little strange when gazing at this spotted lake. This occurrence arises as a result of the buildup of minerals including calcium, sodium and magnesium sulfates above the water. The Okanagan Nation's indigenous people see this location as holy and wonderful. Nowadays, tourists from all over the globe are welcome to visit the lake, but getting too near to it is strictly forbidden to safeguard and maintain both the guests and the integrity of the lake. Number 7. Canada's Smoking Hills. When you see smoke shooting out of the cliffs in Canada's Northwest Territories, you may feel a little scared, but there is nothing to be concerned about. The desolate, red-stained rocks of the Smoking Hills have been smouldering for millennia. It seems eerie and is like a scene from a suspenseful thriller. Before an Irishman by the name of Robert McClure found the Smoking Cliffs in the early 1800s, the Smoking Hills frightened many European explorers who first traveled to the desolate area. As the rocks in this region are very heated, many people assumed right once that the cliffs were emitting smoke as a result of volcanic activity. The reality is rather different, however. Due to nearby subterranean oil shales, the Smoking Hills were created. A kind of rock known as oil shale is abundant in kerogen, a chemical substance. Petroleum byproducts like gas and oil are produced by these rocks. This region of Canada has exceptionally abundant brown coal and sulfur-rich rocks. This is why they catch fire when they fall on the slopes that have eroded. Smoke is produced by the rocks when they are exposed to oxygen. Following many years of this ongoing process, the region's scenery progressively transformed. Because of this, the rocks that surround the Smoking Hills have red and orange streaks because they have been baked and bleached by the heat. What the sailors who came before me thought of this region before the smoke intrigues me much. The burning hills give the region a foreboding appearance, but I suppose that's a good thing as it keeps explorers away. For now, only boats, helicopters and aircraft can enter this region. Number 6. The Pingualuit Crater. The Pingualuit Crater is a massive impact crater located in the northern part of Quebec, Canada. It was formed 1.4 million years ago when a meteorite weighing several 100,000 tons struck the Earth's surface at a speed of 40,000 miles per hour. The crater was formed when the energy released by the impact vaporized the meteorite and the rocks around it, creating a massive explosion. It is unique because it contains an incredibly deep and clear lake, which is one of the deepest and clearest lakes in the world. The crater is surrounded by tundra and boreal forests, and it provides a habitat for several species of birds, mammals, and insects. It is an important site for scientific research, and it is also a popular destination for tourists and outdoor enthusiasts. Number 5. Discovery of a Viking settlement in Newfoundland. In 1960, the Norwegian explorer Helge Ingstad and his wife Anne Stein Ingstad discovered the remains of a Viking settlement at L'Anse aux Meadows on the northern tip of Newfoundland, Canada. The discovery was significant as it proved that the Vikings had reached North America almost 500 years before Columbus. The settlement at L'Anse aux Meadows is believed to have been established around the year 1000 AD and was likely a base for Norse exploration of the North American continent. The site includes the remains of several buildings, including a large hall, a smithy, and a carpentry workshop. Archaeological evidence at the site also suggests that the Vikings had contact with the indigenous people of the region, likely the Beothuk, who were the first inhabitants of Newfoundland. The discovery of the Viking settlement in Newfoundland has been hailed as a major moment in Canadian history and has helped to shed light on the role of the Vikings in the exploration and settlement of North America. It has also highlighted the importance of archaeological research in understanding the history of Canada and the world. Today, L'Anse aux Meadows is a National Historic Site of Canada and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is open to visitors and features a museum and interpretation centre that tells the story of the Viking settlement and its significance. The discovery of the settlement has also inspired renewed interest in Norse history and culture and has helped to cement Canada's place in the global history of exploration and discovery. Number 4. The discovery of a giant methane crater. For this fascinating discovery, we will travel to Siberia. In 2017, a research team from the University of Alaska Fairbanks and the United States Geological Survey made a groundbreaking discovery in the Yamal Peninsula in Siberia, Russia. They announced the discovery of a massive crater, estimated to be 50 meters, 164 feet, in diameter. The crater appeared to have been caused by a methane explosion from beneath the surface, a phenomenon known as a pingo-like formation. The Yamal Peninsula is known for its harsh Arctic climate, and the discovery of the crater was significant for several reasons. For one, it highlighted the potential dangers posed by methane explosions in the Arctic, as methane is a potent greenhouse gas that is trapped in permafrost and undersea ice in the region. The crater was first discovered by helicopter pilots who were flying over the area in 2014. They reported seeing a large hole in the ground surrounded by debris. However, it took several years for researchers to visit the site and conduct a detailed investigation due to its remote location and harsh climate. The methane that caused the explosion is believed to have been released from underground deposits as a result of thawing permafrost. This process is known as methane hydrate dissociation and is a consequence of global warming. The release of large amounts of methane into the atmosphere could have catastrophic effects on global climate, as methane is a much more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. The discovery of the Yamal crater has spurred further research into the effects of climate change in the Arctic, particularly with regards to the melting of permafrost. It has also highlighted the need for action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the effects of global warming. Furthermore, the crater has sparked interest in the potential for using natural gas hydrates, which are abundant in the region, as a new source of energy. However, the extraction of gas hydrates is controversial, as it could potentially worsen the effects of global warming by releasing large amounts of methane into the atmosphere. Number 3. Discovery of a dinosaur fossil with preserved skin and soft tissue. In 2011, a team of scientists led by paleontologist Caleb Brown from the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology in Alberta, Canada, announced the discovery of a remarkable dinosaur fossil in the province of Alberta. The fossil, which was unearthed by a heavy equipment operator at a mine site, was a small dinosaur known as a nodosaur, which lived approximately 110 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. The fossil was one of the most well-preserved dinosaur specimens ever found, with the dinosaur's skin, scales, and soft tissues all remarkably intact. It even included remnants of the dinosaur's digestive system, allowing scientists to study the animal's last meal. The discovery of the nodosaur fossil has been hailed as a breakthrough in the study of dinosaur evolution and biology, and has allowed scientists to learn more about the physical appearance and behavior of these ancient animals. It has also sparked renewed interest in paleontology and dinosaur research and highlighted the importance of preserving fossils and other ancient artifacts for future generations. Number 2. Discovery of the ice circles phenomenon. Ice circles, also known as ice disks, are a natural phenomenon that can occur in slow-moving rivers and streams in Canada during the winter months. They are created when a piece of ice breaks off from the surrounding ice cover and begins to rotate in the current, creating a smooth, circular shape. The rotation of the ice circle can be caused by several factors, including changes in water flow, changes in air temperature, and wind. Ice circles can vary in size from a few feet to over 100 feet in diameter, and can last for hours, days, or even weeks, depending on the conditions in the river. They are more commonly found in northern parts of Canada, where the winters are colder and the rivers are slower moving. Ice circles have been known to form in several locations throughout Canada and are a popular attraction for visitors. Number 1. The Screaming Tunnel. The Screaming Tunnel is situated near Niagara Falls, Ontario's northwest corner, and is also known as the Horror Tunnel. According to a tale, if you light a match while standing in the middle of this tunnel, which runs under the former Grand Trunk Railway tracks, the match will go out, and you will hear the dying girl's cries. Locals from the Niagara area are well familiar with the story of this tunnel. It belongs to science fiction or horror films. The story starts with a little girl who had a tragic end. She resided in a farmhouse on the south side of the tunnel, according to the many versions of the tale. She left the burning structure one night when her home caught fire. Before she hit the earth, she broke into the tunnel, where she died. According to some stories, she was purposefully set on fire by a vengeful father who was burning in the tunnel to conceal evidence. The terrible mythology that gave rise to the road's now famous moniker is what makes it one of the most haunted in the world today. It is 125 feet long and 16 feet high, and is built of rough-cut stone. This is a gloomy and intimidating building, and at night it changes into a black doorway that will make everyone who enters it nervously. Below the railroad lines connecting Niagara Falls with Toronto and New York City lies a little limestone tunnel. Now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the discoveries discussed in this video? Do you believe there is more to Canada than what we've been told? Leave your comments down below.